Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and I hope y'all are having a great day today. So for today's video, I wanted to do just really straightforward, a full face with the Tartelette in Bloom palette. So this is a super old palette by Tarte, but it still sells like really well after all these years. I pretty much feel like this palette and Tarte Shape Tape are like the only things holding Tarte afloat right now. So I already have foundation and concealer and just some light setting powder on, and with this palette I am going to use this for bronzer, blush, highlight, eyebrows, eyeshadow, and even lips. I thought this would be a fun video because I know a lot of us own this palette, and it's pretty hard to find a YouTuber eyeshadow collection nowadays without the Tartelette in Bloom palette, because I feel like this is pretty iconic. So if you wanted to follow along or even see the capabilities of this palette, then I hope this is helpful. And I know that the Tartelette palette is actually on sale right now at Ulta for $25. So if you also want to see just how it performs, then I hope that this is the video for you. So this is, I think, the first high-end palette that I bought, and by I bought, I mean my boyfriend bought for me. Besides all this talking, I'm going to go in with Smarty Pants, which is this neutral tan transition, and use that as bronzer today. So I'm just gonna dip into Smarty Pants a little bit. I've never used these eyeshadows on my face, so I'm just going to very gently tap and see how pigmented this is. Okay. And then up my forehead. Oh, let me put on my headband. So it looks like it is going okay. It's still pigmented. I'll have to take some time to blend that out. But the thing I like about Tarte eyeshadows is that they are more of like a smooth, buildable formula. So I think this is a good palette for beginners. It was for me when I was a beginner, because it's a little bit harder to go overboard with these as it is to go overboard with like Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes. And then also just along my jaw. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fluff over that area with the same brush. I was gonna say that maybe that was too strong, but I actually think it's going okay so far. And every time I like just show y'all close-ups of my face, I wanna remind you that this part of my face is regrettably my own skin discoloration. It's not just that I didn't apply the bronzer very well. And then also a little bit across the nose. For blush, I definitely wanted to go in with this pink transition called Sweetheart, but looking at the palette, I think I'm gonna mix in a little bit of Rebel here as well, which is the more mid-tone pink red. And I'm using a stippling brush for this because I think stippling brushes are good for very pigmented products, because I am not like swiping it all on. I'm kind of dabbing it like this, and then I can blend. So I'm gonna mostly dip into Sweetheart and then like one dip into Rebel, and then let's see how that goes. Okay, that's a lot. Let me just even it out on the other side. Okay, now I'm actually like swiping blending with this stippling brush, and I think it's going okay. And then now that I've blended it all out, just whatever's left on the brush, I sweep across my nose. The eyeshadow for blush is a little bit more pigmented than I typically like my blushes, but where's the surprise in that? Okay, well, that actually, oh, let me turn over this heart again. Yep, that actually doesn't look that bad now that I've blended it out. This is what I like so much about the Tarte formula, is it's so easy to blend out. For highlighter, I'm gonna be using Funny Girl, this shimmer, but it's super intense. Let me give you a swatch. I might mix it with another shade in this palette to tone down the reflectiveness a bit. So I'm gonna dip my little setting, what is this, Real Techniques setting brush into Funny Girl once, and then also into Flower Child. And let's see how that goes. Okay, it's still a little strong, so let me just do that on the other side. All right, well, whatever's left, I'm just gonna sweep into my brow bone and try to blend that a little bit. So on the cheek, because this is an eyeshadow, the little pearl, the shimmers are, I can actually see them. I can tell that this is kind of an eyeshadow, but it blends in well, just like the other Tarte shadows. I'm just gonna take this stippling brush that I used with a blush, oh, tongue twister, and just blend that in a little bit more. And my goal here is, of course, not to have a stripe. I am not really into that highlighter look lately. I like for my highlighters to kind of blend into my blush, so that is what I'm doing right now. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so moving through this kind of quickly, I've already finished my face products. Next, let me just fill in my brows, and I actually do use this palette to fill in my brows. Not often, but like often enough to where it's a thing I do with this palette. So I'm going to go in with a mix of Smoke Show, which is a cool toned deep brown, and Activist, which is more of the neutral, and just go in with a mix of those two and fill in the bald spots in my brows. Because this palette has the different undertones in the different depths of color, it's actually pretty easy to find your brow shade. If you had lighter hair than me, you could actually go in with Jet Setter. I think that's a really good blonde-ish kind of tone for your brows, but again, I'm gonna dip into these shadows for my other brow. And you could always find a middle ground by mixing these shadows. I've been a fan of powder brows lately just because they're so fast and easy and actually not even really that precise. So it's good for just sprucing myself up for staying at home and not going anywhere, and kind of walking by the mirror like, oh, that's what I look like naturally out of bed. Like, you know, a Glossier girl who are just naturally born pretty and their makeup isn't really makeup. So I didn't like carve out a new brow shape or anything. I am just filling in my brows as they are on my face. And I think that is the easiest thing to do, and oftentimes I feel like that also looks the best in terms of brows, just going with what you naturally have. And now onto the actual intended use of this palette. Let's do my eyeshadow. And I didn't plan out what eyeshadow look I want to do today. I could stick in my comfort zone and use this bottom row. This is where I live most of the time in this palette, and do something pink because that is my aesthetic. But you know what? I'm gonna try to do something different for y'all today. Let's do a smoky eye, which I never do. I'm going to start it as I would start any other look, and I'm just gonna take this neutral transition shade and set that as a base. And then take that same shade and drag it across my lower lash line. Next, I am going to take Activist, which is this deep shade in the middle row, and I will first focus that on the outer corner of my eye. And with a dark shadow like this, I like to kind of tap it where I want it to be and deposit some shadow and not just go in and blend right away, because a lot of times I have more shadow on this brush than I think I do, and it just gets really out of hand. So there we go, and then now I try to blend it in a little bit. And then like just what's on my eyes already and what's on the brush, I sweep that color into the inner part of my eye to kind of give it more of an easy blend. With blending, less is more. All right, so testing the waters, I want a little bit more smoke, so I'm going to take some more of Activist and run it further like in the middle of my eyelids. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. You know what, I really like how that's looking right now. I don't even know if I want to do anything else to it. I think that I'm actually going to leave that alone. Now, just for a finishing touch, I'm gonna take Funny Girl and highlight my inner corners and my brow bone. And I don't have a fancy brush for this. I do have a fancy brush for it, but I prefer to use my fingers. So I've decided not to stop here with my eye look. I want to take this cool toned shimmer brown called Rocker and put that on the inner half and middle of my lids. And I actually like hardly ever use this shade because I feel like it's too deep a lot of the times to be a lid shade for whatever look I'm doing. But since I have a little bit of a deeper base, I'm gonna go in with this. Oh yeah, that is cool. That's so cool. I like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh. Dang, I feel like a cool girl. All right, so I popped on some mascara just now, and this is the finished eye look. Now that I'm looking at the whole look together, that blush really looks good. Oh, I did like that blush. All right, So the last item of business I have to use this palette for today is my lips. And I was debating if I even wanted to do my lips with this powder palette, but I figured why not? Why not just go all the way? So how I'm gonna do it, instead of like dipping powder in the brush and then spraying MAC Fix Plus on it and brushing it on my lips, I'm actually gonna take some lip balm. This is the Laneige Lip Sleeping Mask, and I'm just going to spread some of that on my lips and then take my finger and blend some eyeshadow into that. I think for my lips, I'm gonna take a mixture of Rebel and Smarty Pants. I think that will come together to make like a Nito nude-ish lipstick with a little bit of color. My hands are covered in mascara, classic. I just used my ring finger to put on that lip balm, so I'm gonna go in with my middle finger and take a little bit of Rebel and Smarty Pants and just blend that in. Ooh, that's dark. Ooh, that's darker than I thought. Okay, scratch that. I'm gonna take Sweetheart and tap that over and just blend all of these 3 shades together. Ugh. Ah, that's thick. What do you expect blending together powder, but... Oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Oh my god, I just took a look at my hand and realized how like crusty, flaky, dry they are from washing my hands so much. You probably can't even see on camera, but they are crusty. This came out looking totally normal. I think my favorite part of this is the lips, honestly, because since I mixed that powder with a lip balm, it's not like sucking the moisture out of my lips since it's mixed with an actual balm. So, wow, it really feels like a lipstick. I went easy on myself and picked the Tartelette palette for my first full face one palette video because I already know that this has all of the different like bronze, blush, highlight, and then eye tones that I need. If y'all have any suggestions or want to see another one of these with a different palette, you can definitely let me know in the comments. Otherwise, that is the content I have for y'all today. I hope y'all have a great one, and remember that y'all are my treasure. Find the beauty in every day, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. See you in my next video. Bye!